Let me read to you a passage from the 12th chapter of St. Luke's Gospel, verses 35 to 38. It's the Gospel for Tuesday of the 29th week in Ordinary Time, Year 2. St. Luke writes, Jesus said to his disciples, "Be dressed and ready for service, and keep your lamps burning, like men waiting for their master to return from a wedding banquet, so that when he comes and knocks, they can immediately open the door for him. It will be good for those servants whose master finds them waiting and watching when he comes. I tell you the truth, he will dress himself to serve, will have them recline at table, and will come and wait on them. It will be good for those servants whose master finds them ready, even if he comes in the second or third watch of the night." That's from Luke chapter 12, verses 35 to 38. And what does it suggest to us? Well, at times when we remember vividly important experiences of the past, we can be caught up in a kind of wonder that this past, which we remember so well, has gone. The past has simply gone. Indeed, the present is constantly fleeting by. And as soon as it has come, it is gone. The future is ahead, say, tomorrow, and in no time it has arrived, and in no time it is gone forever. It is a source of fascination that the reality of our existence, the reality rather of our experience, changes so radically. For if something simply exists, then why ought it not continue to exist as it is? Existence, in its essential idea, does not contain a principle of change, it simply is. So, inasmuch as we change, our own existence and the existence of things around us cannot be said to be simply existence. That is to say, we exist, but that is not all that must be said about our existence. Our existence is limited by the potential to change and pass away. If we do not simply exist, which is to say if we need not exist, while yet existing nevertheless, then our existence is radically contingent. We happen to exist because of another who simply and necessarily exists. The thought of change, the thought of the non-existent future becoming the present, and then the present passing out of existence into the past, reminds us that our own existence is radically contingent and can come to an end at any point without the slightest warning. We must live ever conscious of this fact. So, ordinary philosophical reflection on the nature of our life and of our existence indicates to us that it is part and parcel of living successfully always to be prepared for a sudden end. The fact is, though, we are prone constantly to forget this fundamental fact, even though we have constant reminders in the loss of life going on around us always. But over and above what ordinary reflections suggest, our Lord warns us to be ever ready, because two things are certain. Our end will come, and yet its date is unknown. What does it mean to be on the watch, always ready, or to put it in the terms of our gospel passage today, to be always dressed for service? Well, let us listen to our Lord's words of warning. Keep your lamps burning, like men waiting for their master to return from a wedding banquet, so that when he comes and knocks, they can immediately open the door for him. The implication is that we ought so to live as constantly to be ready at a moment's notice to welcome the master when he returns. We must be ready to open the door and welcome him. This implies that the Master be the love of our hearts constantly, and that no other interest be distracting us so as to find us reluctant or distracted with other things. We shall only be able to do this if throughout life, day by day, we are welcoming him in all his calls and arrivals of each day. These calls are expressed in our daily duties and summonses to further generosity. If we are always ready to open the door to Christ when he comes in all these daily occasions of duty and of grace, then we shall be ready for him when he comes at the end, even if suddenly. Our hearts will not be found to be distracted and sluggish in the one thing necessary. However well we might feel physically, however well we might appear to others and even to the doctor, life can suddenly end. All around us we have testimony to this fact. If a young person in the prime of life can suddenly have that life snatched from him for any one of a number of reasons, then why not me? Would be our thought. Perhaps we can think of occasions in the past when we seem to have been preserved from a sudden death. It was a mercy offered us. Were my life to be suddenly taken from me, would I go to my judge prepared? Would I go to him at least contrite? Or would there be very many sins that I would be found still to be clinging to, unrepentant? All this is to say that the best way to prepare for a sudden end to life is to live the present really well. Today, I must live as if this is the only day I have, with God's judgment to come at its end. A lot of time is taken up in life thinking of the past, especially its hurts, and then preparing for the future, hoped for joys such as a career, retirement, or whatever. But how much time do we spend preparing for our real future, which is the hereafter? The fact is that this eternal hereafter can come suddenly, without warning. The real tragedy is not that we die, nor that we die suddenly, but that we die unprepared, that we die without being ready. We must stand ready, and we do this by trying every day to hear the word and the will of God and to put it into practice.